Yeah.
So, Ron, maybe you can just start us off by telling us a little bit about what you're seeing in the market right now when it comes to um, challenges that loan officers are facing.
Definitely. I mean, I'll take a step back for a second because in our last interview, a lot of people were very discouraged. Today, yeah, some people are still discouraged. There's really no light at the end of the tunnel as far as the market really improving significantly. But the originators that are here are, in my opinion, here still in the business. We have a certain percentage who are excelling in that they're actually increasing their market share because they're not going to be denied, and they just see that we still have a lot of originators who won't really do what's necessary. They'll just do enough to survive. And I guess maybe surviving is what's necessary, but that they're not really going for it. And not surprising, that's just a normal pattern of salespeople anyway in any industry. It's not an indictment on the mortgage industry, it's just salespeople. But people are a lot more, originators are a lot more accepting that the market is where it is. Um, the good news is, and I'm talking about this, I don't know how many originators are really realizing this, but I've talked about it for years, that what we can hope for rates to go down, but what we really want to hope for is just rates getting stable. Because by getting stable, that's when people from a psychological standpoint say, you know what? Okay, it's not the roller coaster. I got to move on with my life now. It's almost like they've got a reset. They say, this is the situation, and waiting no longer makes any sense, which is why we're seeing a few more houses come on the market. Um, we're seeing more buyers, not in droves, but more buyers definitely coming out since the first of the year. So with that said, we have the originators who they're just rocking and rolling and they're going to keep going. We have that middle group that I'm seeing that middle group disappear, that middle level originator. And what I'm seeing is some are rising up, that they're stepping up and taking the action. And then there are some that, I mean, I've been hearing some more people once again are throwing in the towel.
We've covered a couple of different subjects that I want to go back to
Good.
um, a little bit here because you mentioned the group of people that are kind of just in the middle, just
Mhm.
getting by.
Mhm.
What's your advice for those loan officers who are kind of in the middle there? They've established a good routine, but they don't want to necessarily put extra effort into marketing unless they're going to see return on their time investment. What tools are they using right now to be able to better position themselves going into 2025?
In some case, they are doing more social media, um, and that works to a point. But when, you know, the more people that go into that stadium, the harder it is to get noticed. Um, the truth of the matter is the ones that I'm seeing, at least with my clientele, that are growing the most are the ones that are just developing more relationships. They're just building their network bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, those are the ones that really have seen a significant uptick. I hate to sound old school, but I don't believe that that's going away anytime soon. But that's the skill that you the we're doing is we have the middle producers who can do two things. They can do more prospecting to expand their network and not just stay where they are, which is allowing and waiting for the realtors to get better and or whoever their networks are. Or they can do more prospecting, develop more relationships, but they could also work on being better at how they do it. Probably the best illustration I can ask is, or I can give is, I ask in my trainings, how many of you, how many of you have ever had a great meeting with a realtor that went nowhere? And, or what you thought was a great meeting and it went nowhere, and everybody's hand goes up. And I'm like, why do you think that happens? And a lot of it has to do with two key points that I make. One, they don't really have a good follow-up process. And two, they made their job harder. And the way they did that is they finished the meeting with the realtor and never even defined what the next step would be. And I don't know, I don't think you can really write, I don't know even how you'd write this, but really what's happening, Kimberly, is simply this. Let's say you're a realtor, I'm a loan officer, we have a great meeting. I don't leave us with the next step other than it's, hey, it's really great meeting you. I'm going to follow up with you. Thanks for your time. Well, a couple of days go by and I don't hear from you, so I'm going to call you. Hey, Kimberly, just checking in, make sure everything's good. It's kind of like me. Yeah, it's kind of like a call. Do you have anything for me? Right? That's basically what I'm doing. Well, how many of those calls can I really make? So after a week after that, I might call you again, but eventually now I don't feel good about making these calls because you're not reaching out to me. So I almost feel like I'm begging.
Mhm.
And eventually I get in my head, if I call you too much, I'm an annoyance. If I don't call you enough, you're going to forget about me and I don't know which one to do. And that is a huge problem with originators. They leave so much on the table because they don't know how to follow up. And if you were to ask me what would be something I would tell people to really master in 2025 is master how to effectively follow up with agents or referral partners, borrowers. And the formula is really simply this. Instead of thinking, how do I get business? Start asking, or instead of asking yourself, how do I get business from them? Ask yourself, what can I give them to create value that they would appreciate? And I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about information, whether it's an article, whether it's an idea, whether it's help with a strategy. Um, it's not, giving them money. That's completely illegal. But how do I continue to create value for them versus how do I just follow up and keep asking? And that change in psychology, when you're focused on how do I keep creating value? How do I keep giving? How do I keep giving? How do I keep helping? Then follow up becomes really easy.
Now, I can't help but wonder because realtors are in the position now where if they are working with a buyer, that they have to kind of sell themselves to the buyer in order to get a signature in a buyer agreement prior to even showing a home. If loan officers can bring something to the table for those realtors, for example, the topic of down payment assistance came up recently for us. And maybe a loan officer can say, I'm well versed in down payment assistance programs in this state and local area. That's something that I can provide to your clients. Would that be a good example of that kind of exchange that realtors are looking for to really give them that value add working with a particular loan officer?
Um, yes, I would reword it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just forcing me to put on my trainer hat. Uh,
Well, please, that's why we're calling
okay.
you.
Um, See, what you just described there, Kimberly, is not wrong. And first of all, it can't be wrong because I'm giving an opinion. Um, Imagine that somebody has a different opinion and they're not wrong. Um, but that's the approach that most LOs would take. A lot of people have down payment assistance. So what I would do is if I was reaching out to you, Kimberly, or I'm talking to you, I say, Kimberly, do you ever have any borrowers that have little to no money to put down but really want to buy a house? And you're going to say, yeah. And I'll say, have you had loan? See, I already know what's kind of coming. Have you had loan officers reach out? Or I might say, I'm sure you've had loan officers reach out to you regarding down payment assistance. Is that correct? You're going to say, yeah. Have you had a loan officer reach out to you and define themselves as an expert in down payment assistance? And that answer is going to be no. What makes me an expert in down payment assistance? Well, if I put the effort into making sure I master down payment assistance and I understand down payment assistance, I become the expert. I have a client who is in the Massachusetts market. She is the expert. I mean, there's a bunch of different agencies that her name is always at the top of who is getting referred regarding down payment assistance. So to me, it's not about offering down payment assistance. It's about positioning yourself as a down payment assistance expert. And when you do that, people pay attention more. It's just about changing the words. So it's definitely a relevant topic talking about down payment assistance. It could be whether you're going to help someone with unique ways in open houses that you could help them get more exposure. There are so many simple things that originators can do, and they don't do them.